Welcome to the deep dive.
Hello.
Today we're getting into something pretty interesting. It might seem niche at first glance.
Right.
The connection between electric two-wheelers and, well, how cities are actually designed in China.
Yeah, we've looked at quite a bit of material commute stats, market data on these electric bikes and scooters, and some really good insights from an IT journalist who focuses on China.
And our mission here really is to unpack this link. It's not just about the vehicles themselves.
Exactly. We want to explore how their huge popularity is tangled up with China's specific way of developing cities. What does it reveal about, urban design and how people actually live and move?
Okay, but first, you need to hear this stat. It's kind of mind-blowing.
It really is.
As of late 2020, China had more electric two-wheelers than cars,
Yeah, the numbers are something like 320 million electric two-wheelers.
compared to 290 million cars. Just try to picture that scale.
It immediately tells you these aren't just some fringe transport mode. They're absolutely core to daily life for millions.
Totally. And if you've seen videos from Chinese cities, you've definitely seen these things zipping around. They often look like bicycles.
But people aren't really pedaling them most of the time.
Right. That's the key difference. In Japan, you think of electric assist bikes where you pedal and the motor helps out.
Uh-huh. But the sources describe many Chinese models where the pedals are, well, almost decorative. Or just there for emergencies, if the battery conked out.
So the main power is just the electric motor.
Pretty much, yeah. It's electric propulsion first.
So it's kind of like a very light electric scooter or moped, sometimes with vestigial pedals. And the sources break them down into categories based on regulations.
Right, which helps understand their different uses. First up, you have what are officially called electric bicycles.
Okay. These do have pedals, but like you said, mostly just in case.
Correct. Speeds limited to 25 kilometers per hour, and crucially, no driver's license needed.
That's a big deal for accessibility.
Huge. And rules vary by city, but you might be able to carry a small child, under 10 usually. Think local trips, shopping, that sort of thing.
Got it. Then what's the next step up?
That would be electric scooters, or sometimes called electric mopeds. These ditch the pedals completely.
Okay, so pure electric. Faster.
Yep, they can go up to 50 kilometers per hour, but for these, you do need a driver's license.
And passengers.
No passengers allowed on these. Officially, they're classed more like electric light-duty motorcycles.
Right. And then there's the top tier.
Full electric motorcycles, basically like the gas-powered ones, but electric. No special speed limits beyond the normal road rules, need a license, and you can carry a passenger, provided they have a helmet.
Okay. But it sounds like those first two categories, the electric bicycles and scooters, are the ones that make up this just enormous fleet we mentioned.
Absolutely. They're the backbone of a lot of daily travel.
So how did this happen? How did they become so widespread? The sources point to something really unexpected, don't they?
They really do. It wasn't like some top-down green initiative initially. The catalyst, believe it or not, was the SARS outbreak back in 2003.
SARS. How does a public health crisis lead to more electric bikes? That sounds counterintuitive.
Well, it's about the response. The sources contrast China's approach with, say, Japan's. Japan focused heavily on individual actions masks, hand washing.
Right, I remember that.
China did that too, but also implemented wider measures, like trying to limit how far people traveled and restricting logistics. And during SARS, there was this massive fear of public transport.
Okay. Buses, subways, seen as risky because of crowds.
Exactly. So suddenly, everyone needed a personal way to get around that wasn't a crowded bus or subway.
But cars were still too expensive for most people then, right?
Way too expensive. And regular push bikes. Fine for short distances, but limited.
So the electric bike hit this sweet spot.
Precisely. Personal transport, relatively affordable, and perfect for those medium-distance trips longer than walking, but maybe shorter than needing a car or bus.
And that surge in demand during SARS basically forced them into the mainstream.
Yeah, it seems it really legitimized them. By 2004, electric bicycles were officially written into road traffic law and guidelines, making them seem even more convenient and, official.
And the sources even mentioned this connects to later ideas about city planning. Something about infection resilience.
That's right. There was research, like Baidu presented this model called Sea Watcher at an AI conference.
Okay.
And it showed a link between people, on average, traveling shorter distances cumulatively and lower rates of virus clusters. This kind of thinking fed into ideas about designing cities to be inherently more resilient to outbreaks.
Which leads us nicely into the other big piece, China's actual urban planning strategy. The sources really hammer this idea of compact cities.
Yes, or integrated blocks. That's the core concept they describe.
Okay, so what does a compact city actually mean in practice? What does it look like?
The goal is to design urban areas where your job, your home, and all your daily needs, think hospitals, schools, shops, are all close by.
Within walking distance. Or a short ride.
Ideally, yeah. Walking distance or a very short commute. The sources even mention specific targets. The dream scenario is a commute of 5 kilometers or less.
They call that the happiness commute, apparently.
Yeah, the happiness commute. But the broader goal is getting everyone under a 45-minute commute.
And actively trying to get rid of those really long ones.
Exactly. Eliminate the extreme commutes, defined as 60 minutes or more each way.
So it's the opposite of urban sprawl, where you have distinct zones, business district here, suburbs way over there, shopping malls somewhere else entirely.
Right. They're trying to integrate it all. The sources use this analogy instead of cities spreading out like amoeba tentacles,
Okay.
which they sort of contrast with some development in Japan. It's more like cell division, or maybe like adding Lego bricks.
Lego bricks, how so?
You build a new block, a new cell that has the workplaces, the housing, the schools, the shops all bundled together. Then you add another self-sufficient block next to it.
Can you give an example from the sources?
Sure. The clearest examples are these new development zones, Shinkai-kwa, you often see on the edges of cities.
Purpose-built areas.
Yeah, designed specifically to combine industry or offices with housing and all the supporting facilities right there.
Any famous examples?
Shanghai's Pudong New Area is a huge one they mentioned. Started back in the 90s. They took what was relatively low-value land and transformed it into this massive integrated business, financial, and residential district. It now houses something like 5.7 million people.
Wow, 5.7 million living right alongside or mixed in with the financial hub. Even with high housing costs, that's dense integration.
It really is. And a newer example they point to is Tencent's Net City being built in Shenzhen, scheduled to finish around 2026.
What's the concept there?
It's a big site, about 80 hectares, designed by NBBJ, an architectural firm known for using data to plan spaces around how people move.
So data-driven design.
Yeah, and the whole idea is to make it primarily pedestrian-focused. Offices, homes, schools, shops, all connected with things like elevated walkways.
Yeah.
Trying to minimize the need for longer trips within that zone.
Okay, I see it now. This is where the electric two-wheelers just slot in perfectly.
Exactly. If your daily life happens within, say, a 5 or 10, maybe 15-kilometer radius,
Which is what these compact blocks encourage.
then an electric bike or scooter is incredibly convenient. Faster than walking, cheaper than owning and running a car, gets you right to the door. It's basically the ideal tool for navigating these integrated city blocks.
It really does sound like a fundamentally different mobility system compared to places heavily reliant on cars or maybe even extensive but separate public transit networks.
It creates a layered system, is how the sources describe it.
Yeah.
You walk for the shortest trips, then you have this massive layer of electric two-wheelers for short to medium journeys.
Right.
Then maybe small electric cars, then regular cars and public transport for the longer hauls.
Small EVs, too.
Yeah, they even have a term that covers both electric two-wheelers and those tiny EVs like the Wuling Hongguang MNE EV.
Oh, yeah? What's the term?
It's, oh yeah,
Daibuchi.
Daibuchi.
Roughly translates to vehicle in place of walking.
Huh. That's very descriptive. So it fills that gap between walking and a full car or train trip.
Exactly. Especially useful, they note, when the weather's bad and maybe you don't fancy being on an e-bike.
Okay, vehicle in place of walking. I like that. So with this planning focus and these vehicles, is it actually working? Are commutes in China shorter?
Well, according to a 2021 report from the China Urban Planning Design Institute, the stats are pretty compelling. They break cities down by size, population, and even in the super cities, that's over 10 million people, 68% of residents apparently have commutes under that 45-minute target.
2/3, even in the biggest cities. That's impressive.
And only 17% have those extreme commutes over 60 minutes. In smaller cities, the numbers are even better, closer to that 5-kilometer happiness ideal. How does that compare to somewhere like Japan, which the sources also mention?
Yeah, the contrast is quite stark based on the data presented. Japan's 2018 Housing and Land Survey showed that in the Kanto region, which includes Tokyo and its massive surrounding area, fewer than half, less than 50% of commuters get to work in under 45 minutes.
Less than half in Kanto versus over 2/3 in China's biggest cities.
Wow. So
Wow.
yeah, by that metric, China's major urban areas seem to be doing significantly better on commute times.
What do the sources suggest are the reasons for that big difference? It can't just be the e-bikes, right?
No, it's a mix of factors. Urban planning is one, as we discussed. Another is housing preferences and mobility.
How so?
Well, the sources suggest that in Chinese cities, apartment living is the norm, and people tend to move apartments more frequently and easily.
Okay, renting is common, maybe easier to switch jobs and move closer.
Right. Compare that to Japan, where there's historically been a stronger preference for owning detached houses, often further out in the suburbs.
And buying and selling a house is a much bigger, more complex process.
Exactly. So people might be less likely to move just because their job location changes, leading to longer commutes sticking around.
Makes sense. The sources aren't saying one housing preference is inherently better, just that it has this knock-on effect on commutes and urban efficiency.
Precisely. Different priorities, different outcomes for daily travel.
Okay, back to the vehicles themselves. Why do people in China actually buy these electric two-wheelers? What's the main driver?
Unsurprisingly, the number one reason cited is commuting.
Makes sense, given everything we've said.
Yeah, and after commuting, the next biggest reason is for shopping and errands.
And when they're choosing one, what's the most important feature they look for?
Range. Definitely range. How far can it go on a single charge?
What's typical?
Usually somewhere between 50 and 100 kilometers, which is generally fine for daily use if you can charge it overnight, like your phone.
Okay. But it's not all smooth sailing. The sources highlight a really serious problem.
Yes. A major challenge is safety. Specifically, fires involving the lithium-ion batteries.
Fires. How bad is it?
The official statistics cited are quite alarming. One report mentioned 14,000 fires linked to electric two-wheelers just between January and October of 2021.
14,000 fires.
Yeah.
In less than a year. That's huge.
And tragically, those fires reportedly led to 41 deaths and 157 injuries in that period.
Oh my God. What's causing so many fires? Is it just faulty manufacturing?
It seems to be more complex. Improper handling is one factor, like using batteries way past their intended lifespan, which might only be around 3 years.
Okay, wear and tear.
But a really significant contributor, according to the sources, is the widespread use of non-genuine or substandard third-party batteries and chargers.
People trying to save money or get more range with unofficial parts.
Exactly. They might be cheaper or promise better performance, but they might not meet safety standards, or they might be incompatible, leading to overheating, short circuits, fire.
And people just swap them out easily.
Apparently, yeah. Despite official warnings, it's described as a common practice, kind of treating the battery like just another cheap replaceable component.
Is this lithium-ion fire issue unique to these vehicles in China? Or is it a general battery problem?
Well, lithium-ion battery fires happen elsewhere, of course. The sources mention they're also increasing in Japan, for instance.
Right.
But in Japan, it seems to be more often related to things like laptops or increasingly those mobile power banks, and perhaps the scale and severity are different.
So maybe smaller batteries, fewer fatalities compared to the vehicle fires in China.
That seems to be the implication. The Tokyo Fire Department data cited showed 102 lithium-ion fires in 2019, causing 12 injuries. Still serious, but the scale in China related to e-bikes seems much larger, potentially due to the bigger batteries and this issue with unregulated parts.
So given this huge safety risk, what's being done about it in China? Are there solutions?
There are definitely efforts underway. One approach mentioned is building more outdoor charging facilities.
Why outdoor?
The thinking is, if a fire does break out while charging, it's much less dangerous outside than inside an apartment building lobby or corridor. Less risk of trapping people or the fire spreading through the building.
Okay, that makes sense as a mitigation tactic.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
There's ongoing work on developing safer battery chemistries and management systems, of course, but a really interesting solution highlighted is battery swapping.
Battery swapping, like the Gogoro system you see in Taiwan.
Exactly like that. You ride up to a station, pull out your depleted battery, and swap it for a fully charged one in seconds.
How did that help with safety?
Well, the swapping company manages the batteries. They ensure they're genuine, monitor their health, charge them under controlled conditions, and retire them safely. It takes the risky part out of the user's hands.
So it professionalizes battery management. Are Chinese companies adopting this?
Yes, major manufacturers like Yadea and Changjiang are reportedly rolling out models that use battery swapping. Yadea has one called the Huandian Beast 01 designed for this.
Interesting. Any other alternatives being explored?
The sources briefly mention hydrogen-powered bicycles too, being developed by companies like Yangtze. So multiple avenues are being explored.
Okay, so let's try and tie this all together. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. From the sheer number of these vehicles to the SARS connection, the compact city planning.
The commute times, the safety issues, and now these potential solutions like battery swapping.
I think the main takeaway is just how interconnected these things are. The electric two-wheeler isn't just a random popular gadget in China.
No, it's like perfectly suited to and maybe even enabled by their specific approach to urban development, building these dense integrated blocks to keep daily travel distances short.
Right. It's created this unique mobility ecosystem that looks quite different from places with more sprawl or maybe different transport priorities.
And while it offers amazing convenience for millions and fits that urban model, it comes with this really significant challenge of battery safety that needs constant attention and innovation.
Definitely. It's a powerful illustration of how city design directly shapes transport choices, commute times, daily life, maybe even well-being. It just offers a different model for how a city can work.
So listening to this, what does it mean for you? Why should you care about electric bikes and city planning in China?
Well, I think it prompts a really good question to ask about your own life, your own city,
Yeah.
which how much does the physical design of the place you live dictate how you move around every day? Your lifestyle, really.
Yeah. Think about your own commute, sure,
Yeah.
but also just those everyday trips, getting groceries, visiting a friend nearby, taking kids to school or activities.
How easy is it for you to do those things by walking or hopping on a bike or using some other kind of short distance transport?
Or does the way your city or neighborhood is laid out basically force you into a car or onto public transport, even for trips that aren't actually that far?
It's something to consider. And maybe keep an eye on new city projects happening around the world. You mentioned China's Xiong'an New Area, or even smaller concepts like Toyota's Woven City.
Right. How are they planning for mobility? What role do they see for smaller, personal, maybe electric vehicles and getting around?
It just underlines that the streets, the buildings, the whole layout, it's not just scenery. It actively shapes how we live.
A really fascinating intersection of technology, urban planning, and daily life.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.